Welcome! This video contains an introduction, an interview so you can gain deeper understanding of the subject from spirit level, and a group frequency calibration so you can start to clear the frequency distortion patterns around this topic. Enjoy! Hi everyone, my name is Karen Cheong and I'm here with my co-host Dennis Kelly. Many people who are watching this likely yearn to feel even more free, and some of you yearn for it really strongly. So today we're going to be talking about the greatest hurdle to feeling free, and that is the frequency distortion pattern of low self-worth or non-deserving. Most people feel like they're not worthy. Worthy of what? Worthy of love, of ease, abundance, being fully who you are, or whatever it is. So we don't feel free because we are running the patterns that we don't deserve more than we have, and therefore our options are limited. So today we're going to be talking about low self-worth and non-deserving, how they can activate the pain body, fuel the inner critic, and keep us feeling stuck. Once we can transcend low self-worth, we can experience more abundance, more love, more expansion, more possibility. So let's jump right in. Dennis?
I'll tell you what, Karen, this is really a biggie. Self-worth. And really the opportunity to kind of step back and look at how we feel about ourselves in relation to others. So a big question I have for you is, from your perspective, how much impact does that have on me as who I am as a person?
Do you mean self-worth? How much impact it has on you as a person?
Exactly.
So in my work with people, what I would say is that's the greatest wounding that I see with people. It doesn't matter who they are.
That's probably number one?
Probably number one.
And all the different types of clients you work with.
Yep.
Self-worth is one that's just, it's kind of a common thread.
Yeah. The two that are the most common are low self-worth or
Okay.
non-deserving. And the second one is feeling like a victim, which then creates a sense of entitlement. So those are the two distortion patterns that I see the most. And the low self-worth is very, very often a lineage pattern. So it's very often something that we inherit from our lineage that we talked about in a different video series, or different video episode, what I should say. So the thing about low self-worth is that if we have it, it always caps what our experience can be. Because if we don't feel like we deserve more than a certain amount, it's very hard to exceed it, because you're always capping here or here or here or wherever it is. So it very, very much influences our experience. So if you don't feel on some level, whether or not you're a very confident person, let's imagine, right? And you feel, okay, well, why do I get stuck in this particular part of my life, whether it's abundance or intimate partnership or health or whatever? Chances are it's because somewhere there is a frequency of low self-worth or non-deserving of having whatever it is that you're striving for. So it impacts us tremendously, tremendously.
You know, the one thing that you said was that you said that quite often it's connected to or related to lineage.
Yeah.
So no matter what my upbringing has been, no matter grade school, high school, college, whatever that is, what you're saying is that I could be carrying this challenge of self-worth with me through my lifetime and never really fully understanding why.
Yes, yeah, because your lineage, I mean, this is a very common human thread.
Yeah, I can see that.
And so it's very, very common. And so likely, yes, you have inherited from your lineage and it has been reinforced in your life somewhere. So you feel like it's just you experiencing life, and it is you experiencing life, and it's with that filter of low self-worth that you have inherited from your lineage. So until we remove that low self-worth pattern, it's very difficult to experience abundance, freedom, love, expansiveness fully, because we are always capping that experience. So, and also if we have low self-worth, the other challenge that I see in a lot of people is they're always looking externally for validation, right? Because we don't feel like we are enough. And if we are brilliant in and of ourselves, complete in and of ourselves, and then we don't have to look outside of ourselves And then we're free because we're not looking for external validation. It doesn't matter. That external reflection that we need to have when we have low self-worth vanishes when we feel complete on a spirit level.
You know, what came to me as you were saying that is that, you know, if I did not know you, if, you know, in the work that you do in removing distortions and helping with those old patterns, you know, chances are I would probably head to the library and a self-help book. Or, you know, maybe if my situation was a little more severe, I might, you know, take a look at some type of therapy.
Yeah.
Or I, you know, might, you know, the pharmaceutical route. So what you're saying is that with the lineage challenge is unless you truly have the ability to release that distortion, it could be kind of a very frustrating life.
Yeah, because it's still going to appear no matter what. So it doesn't matter how much you numb yourself with pharmaceuticals or whatever, or how much you talk about it. It really is, not that the therapy isn't valuable, or that I suppose pharmaceuticals, depending on the person, could be useful. But the challenge is the frequency distortion pattern is still there. It's not addressed. It's the source of the problem. So if you don't remove the distortion pattern, it's still going to show up no matter what. And it's still and that's why we get, like, all you have to do is look at where you struggle, over and over. Like, everyone has an area. It doesn't matter how successful you are, right? And there is a place where you get stuck, and that typically is where low self-worth will show up.
I think for a lot of folks, maybe alcohol is that maybe, you know, I know a situation's coming up. Maybe if I just have a drink, I'll just feel a little bit looser. I'll feel a little more confident. And, you know, the situation might be quite a bit better. So I think we do a lot of things to try to take a detour around this self-worth.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people don't want to look at it because it seems like we're weak and we don't know how to get around it or whatever. And, you know, first of all, I just want to say, it's very human to be nervous or to have stage fright or whatever it is. And actually, it can be a good thing. I have that performance anxiety sometimes before I give an event. And if you can use it as a way to make yourself better and not see it as necessarily a bad thing, just like, okay, that's going to actually heighten my awareness, my presence, my whatever, my ability to serve in that moment, then it can be a good thing. So it's very human to have nerves. And so what I would say about the self-medicating about self-worth is really, and it's oftentimes a way of not being with or accepting that part of yourself, the parts where you don't feel worthy of whatever it is, whether it's love or ease or whatever it is in your life that you're seeking, but don't feel comfortable because either you struggle to have it, you can't be with it, it seems dark. So this is again that accountability thing of looking to see where it is that we have this challenge with being with ourselves or accepting that part of ourselves is really important. And it's lovely because you can use that. It is in that weakness where we want to run away from it that shows us, okay, here, there's a challenge here. We need to be stronger here. So if you know that, you can use it as an opportunity to like accelerate forward. So it's not necessarily a bad thing.
And, you know, I was thinking about previous sessions that we've done, and we've talked about anxiety and we've talked about fear. And I think we might have mentioned the fact that, you know, for a lot of people, one of their greatest fears is giving a speech. Or making a presentation in front of others. And so, and that's when that confidence thing is just on high alert. And so when you talked about capping yourself, chances are I'm not going to put myself in a situation where I have to do that. So chances are I don't want the job that's going to require that. Or I don't want to be in a situation where I'm going to be asked to speak or whatever. So I see what you mean about the capping part of it. So on the other side of the fence, when you work with people and with the releasing of that distortion, what kind of impact or what are some of the things that you see or sense or feel around that?
Well, it really depends on the individual. It depends how intense the frequency pattern is, how many layers there are of it. So it really depends. But for example, it can be very small but significant for the person. So I had one client who was very had difficulty being at ease even in a party. So she always felt like she was like putting on a mask or like a face for someone else, and she was never comfortable, but she went because it was expected of her to go to these gatherings. And after a session where we release a lot of self-worth issues, and this is just about comfort with self to a large degree. So once she had that clearing, she wrote me and she said, it's really fascinating. I can be at parties now and I'm at ease. I don't have to pretend to be anything that I'm not. I actually enjoy connecting to people. And so that doesn't sound like to the outside world like is a big deal. But for her, that means that she can actually enjoy herself at a party. And she doesn't have to be anything than other what she is, and she doesn't have to pretend to be something else. So that for her was really liberating. So in that particular, so it can look like to the outside world like it's small, but to the person it feels really different. So it could be something like that. I have had other clients where it gives them the catalyst to change jobs, to leave relationships, because a lot of times we're in relationship because we're comfortable there and we don't feel like we're for a lot of people, I'm not saying everybody, but for many people, if they have a very low self-worth, they feel like, oh, this is the best I'm going to get and I don't want to be alone, so I'll stay with this person, which is so the not wanting to be alone and I can't get better than that is kind of a double whammy. And so they don't leave. So but once we can work on self-worth, there comes like, oh wait, why am I afraid to be alone? Why am I afraid to leave? And sometimes it's not even the getting to someone else, but it's just like the space of like being okay with being by oneself, which is in our culture not as supported, but still they're okay with it because they don't care as much about the external societal constraint of you need to be in a couple. They're just like, whatever, I'm going to go and have my experience and I'm going to be how I am and this is my journey. And then eventually what happens is as they rise and do more and more frequency work in terms of their vibrational level, they attract in a better quality partner who does not reflect their, who does reflect, what I should say, a higher level of worthiness, right? Because they now feel like they can deserve a better match for themselves, whatever that means for them, So it just changes. It can change everything. It can change everything. Yeah.
So when you talked about those limitations, that self-worth could trap me at this lower level.
Oh, absolutely.
From a frequency or vibrational.
Totally. Yeah. And it fuels everything from your inner critic, like all the stuff that we say to ourselves, like our negative self-talk that we don't even sometimes notice that we're saying, that like, I suck, I don't deserve better, why do I feel I can do better than that? Like all that chatter, which is not productive, helpful, or empowering, comes from that place of low self-worth or non-deserving. I don't deserve better than that, right? And it can really activate the pain body. So our pain body really likes to feed on low self-worth and not deserving, right? Because it causes us more pain, and then when we're in our pain, we want to cause pain to other people. So it's interesting that it kind of like those two things kind of activate, and then we can stay stuck because this inner, as you say, then you don't put yourself in a position where you could go for a different job, where you can have different opportunities, where you can meet different people, where you have different remedies. So it really keeps us in the same place. It's really kind of amazing.
What I find so exciting about this is the fact that I may not understand why I don't have the confidence. And so what you're allowing me to understand is the fact that this may not have a lot to do with me. It may come from lineage, or it may come from family, or you talked in an earlier session about a prior lifetime.
Yeah.
So the fact that I have this condition or this situation, I shouldn't really beat myself up.
Yes. So from the perspective of should you judge yourself for it, I agree. Yeah. But it does have something to do with you because it's running through you. So it is you.
Yeah, it's
so
me.
It is
I need to deal with it.
Yeah.
But at least you gave me a sense of, oh my God, there could be a lot of different reasons why I'm in this condition.
Exactly. And so the thing is to take accountability for it, but not judge yourself and beat yourself up for it, right? So that's the thing, because now you can do something about it, which is really empowering and awesome. And once you start to shift, everything starts to shift around you because all these possibilities open up. So it's really, really amazing.
That must really be a lot of fun to work with people and to release those distortions and see that liberation take place. I mean, just for people to just, I mean, their persona, their, you know, who they are and what they are. And I'm sure the people around them, like,
yeah,
what's going on
with them? And, you know, I just want to distinguish, it's interesting, because you said confidence. So it's, to me, it's not like when you have low self-worth, you're more confident. It's actually, it's not that that's incorrect. To me, it's slightly different in nuance. It's more about, it's beyond confidence in a way, because confidence to me, and this is just my perception, so it's like I feel good, like I can, you know, you can listen, you can do all these self-affirmation, confirmation, like whatever, what do you call those things, like self-affirmation statements, whatever, but you don't truly feel confident. So when we remove low self-worth, what happens is we recognize our own brilliance. That's the key. When we recognize our own brilliance and we can accept that in ourselves and we start to embody that and we have a sense of completeness and fullness, it's beyond confidence, because it's just the way things are. And then you cannot accept a lesser than, because it's just, you feel like, why would you tolerate something less than, right? So what then comes to you is a much higher resonation, because your beingness is so full, it's so complete.
And so you're allowing my true essence to shine through.
Yes, and I would say you are too. So this is not, it's both of us together. So it's both of us together. And I just want to make that clear, because there's so much guru idolization. So we work together to do this. Because the work isn't for me, it's for you too. I mean, I help you.
Oh,
but,
no, Accountability.
Accountability. Yeah, it's always there.
Ownership.
Bite you a butt.
I'd love to just walk in and just give it to you.
Yeah, no, I don't want it, thank you.
Call me in an hour, I'll stop back. You know, it's like leaving your car off at the shop. You know, it's just like, no, you fix it, I'll be back.
No, it doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work like that.
No.
Yeah. Can I ask another question? Sure. You said a little bit earlier, you said, well, you know, when I was asking about releasing these distortions, and you said, well, it could kind of depend on the layers. Layers. I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah. So if you go back, for those of you who are new, go back to the original video on frequency fundamentals. So we have the distortion patterns are like layers of duct tape around us, like an onion, right? There's a very common analogy of an onion. So layers of duct tape. So what happens is that sometimes the frequency distortion patterns, because it's not like it's linear, it's really like a sphere, okay? So they kind of peel away, they peel away. And sometimes you have to peel away something else first before you can get to another layer, a deeper layer of the same thing. And our language is sort of limited in how we describe these things. So it's just another layer that we've gotten to because we've released all this other stuff around, I don't know, like the fear of, you know, or the fear of being abandoned, or the distortion pattern of needing to struggle or to work very hard, whatever. Okay, so whatever it is that we've released, now we've gotten back to another layer of self-worth. So sometimes it's in layers, because it's not like I wish we could. We're not at the point yet. We're in consciousness where I can just like pull everything out of people and then it's fine, because it would actually distort them completely. So that's why it's in layers.
So one of the reasons I asked that question is because you said it's quite prevalent, and so I was wondered, is self-worth, and is this one of maybe the outer layers that it's kind of like a starting point for a lot of people? Is if we can move through this and then we can kind of start our journey? Or do you find it could be anywhere along the journey?
I mean, it could be, I suppose.
Okay.
I'm not saying that's incorrect, but from my experience, it kind of shows up along the way. It shows up.
So you don't know. It could be. Okay.
Could be part of the layers of the layer cake. It's just a layer of something in there. Okay. So oftentimes it's not just a one-off.
Okay.
It's interspersed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Karen, could you help me? I hear so often when I look at your video or your website, GFC. Exactly what is that?
A GFC is a group frequency calibration, which looks a lot like a guided meditation on a particular topic. And what I'm doing is I'm helping you to remove the distortion patterns of that particular topic. And because you're coming together as a mastermind in a group to connect to pure source even more and to clear the distortion patterns of this particular topic, what happens is a tremendous amount of momentum starts to happen because of the energetic of the entire group, and each individual is able to move faster and ascend higher than they could have on their own. Welcome everyone to the group frequency calibration on self-worth. So let's begin by taking 3 deep breaths together. And please bring your attention, focus, awareness to your solar plexus, which is between your belly button and the base of your sternum. So inhaling for a count of 3 and holding your breath in for a count of 3. Whenever you get there, please exhale for a count of 4. And then hold out your exhaled breath or voided breath for a count of 4. And whenever you get here, for your second breath, you don't have to follow the sound of my voice, just on your own time. Inhale for a count of 4 and hold your breath for a count of 4. And when you're ready, please exhale for a count of 5, and then hold out your exhaled breath for a count of 5. And on your third breath, please inhale as slowly as you can, and then hold your inhaled breath for as long as you can. And when you feel like you can't hold it in any longer, please hold it for a second longer. And when you get to the exhale, please exhale as slowly as you possibly can. And hold out your exhaled breath for as long as you possibly can. And when you feel like you can't hold your breath out any longer, please hold it out for a second longer. And what we're doing is we're expanding what we think is possible, even in our breath. And whenever you're complete with those 3 breaths on your own time, you're going to bring your attention, focus, awareness to your xiphoid process, which is right at the base of your sternum. So your sternum is that big thick bone in the center of your chest where your ribs meet in front of your body. At the very base of it, there's a fleshy point, which is a little sore if you press it. That is your xiphoid process. So bringing your attention here and breathing normally. And as I wait for the mastermind to gel, for those of you who are new, please note that I will be working on you at the group and the subgroup level. And I'll also be making noises on my end. So you'll likely hear me hum or exhale sharply or yawn, even though I'm not tired. And that's just how I remove the distortion patterns or remove the frequencies around, at least at this point in time. Good. So there's the mastermind. It's just gelled. Continuing to focus on your xiphoid process, let's ask ourselves the following question. And that question is, how can I become even more aware of my connection only to pure source? And that question again is, how can I become even more aware of my connection only to pure source? And as you ask yourself that question, please imagine, see, sense, feel, or become aware of a brilliance deep, deep within your body. It has always been here, and it gets brighter, more expanded, and even more radiant as you become aware of your connection only to pure source. And on my side, I'm helping to increase your natural bandwidth, irrespective of what level you're at. Good. So now bringing your attention to your entire solar plexus between your belly button and the base of your sternum. The first distortion pattern that we're going to clear is fear. And the fear is specifically that of, what if I'm really not enough? What happens then? Let's remove this. And bundled right behind this is a frequency distortion pattern. What if people actually see this in me? They see that I'm not really all that I pretend to be. So the fear of being discovered, so to speak. All you have to do is breathe into your solar plexus, or keep your attention awareness focus on your solar plexus as you breathe. And as a note, for those of you who are new, If I say something that really resonates with you, it's likely you. And if I say something that you really react against, like that couldn't possibly be me, it's likely you. So I invite you to be open to that possibility. Yep. And now bring your attention to your xiphoid process, that point right beneath your sternum. Okay. So the next distortion pattern is the fear of your own power. Okay, for some of you, it's resistance, depending on the subgroup that you're in. So let's remove this. If you're always afraid of your own power, you'll never step into it. And then you won't be able to claim your brilliance or feel complete on spirit level. So we need to delete this first. We don't need to, but if you want to feel those things, it's required. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So still in the xiphoid process, so still keeping your attention, awareness, focus on this point, the next distortion pattern is an oversensitivity to others' judgment. So what are they going to think? What are they going to say if all of a sudden you're different? Or different to them. Right? And now you're going to bring your focus between your belly button and your heart space. The space between your belly button and your heart space. And as you become very aware of this space, we're removing the distortion pattern of lack of trust in self. So second guessing yourself, and then the need to have other people's opinion, and then often valuing their opinion over your own instinct. Okay, so it's a kind of a bundle there going on of slightly different distortion patterns, but all related. All you have to do is keep your attention, focus, awareness between your belly button and your heart, specifically focusing on the midline. Mm-hmm. So now you're going to please bring your attention, focus awareness, to your lower rib cage. Wherever that is for you is perfect. Your lower ribs. So depending on the subgroup that you're in, this is anything from dislike to loathing to impatience with self. Okay. There's a couple of other subgroups, but those are the main ones. So let's remove this so you have a little more ease with yourself. You can start to even just accept all of you, even the parts that you don't really love, or the parts that you're ashamed of or don't want to look at. Because when we see them, then we can strengthen and change. But if we refuse to look, it's difficult. So, bringing your attention to your lower ribs. So now, please find the midpoint between your belly button and the base of your sternum. Wherever that is for you is perfect. And when you find that point, imagine moving into your body from this point. So you're going to imagine dropping into, or moving into, or dissolving into, or flying into, or just being in the center of your body at this point. And please become aware of this space in the center of your body. And just notice if you can be here, or if this is hard for you in some way. And as you're here, in the center of your body, you're going to imagine once again that brilliance from deep within. That starts to get extremely radiant, extremely bright. And it becomes so expansive that it emanates from the core of you out through the pores of your skin, fills up the room that you're in, and then expands up into the sky. And for some of you, you can expand beyond the stars. And for a very small number of you, to the very edges of the universes. Very nice. So I'm going to leave you here in the expanded radiance of who you are for as long as you would like. And I look forward to meeting you on the next GFC.